Pegasaurus Media Group presents.
How's it going, guys? It's July Caesar, and today I'm going to show you how to make your own movie. Now I know what you might, starting off you might think, a movie? Well, doesn't that take like a year or whatnot? But it might in some cases, depending on the scale of your project. But in most cases it just takes a matter of weeks, maybe a month or two, and that's it. Now we're going to start off by dividing this into three essential parts that you must know. That is the pre-production, the production, and the post-production. Now starting off with the pre-production. This basically is just your scripting, your writing, your gathering your crew, knowing where you're going to shoot, how you're going to shoot it, permission from your property owners, equipment you're going to be needing, such as cameras, mics, lights, rigs, all that kind of good stuff. So starting off with the first item in our pre-production list, the scripting. Now this is perhaps going to be the most essential piece of the whole puzzle, and the piece which will probably take the most time to do, but in the end it's going to be worth it. Again, depending on the scale of your project, maybe if you're doing a couple of B-roll shots, you don't really need the script. But if you're doing a large-scale production, then you might need script to hand out to people that are going to be involved, so they can actually know what you're planning. Okay, so basically what a script is, it's just like an outline for your movie. You can be as detailed as you want. You can write every single line that you're gonna say, and every single movement that the camera's gonna make, and every single movement that your actor's gonna make. Or it can just be little bits and pieces of things that remind you what you're supposed to do in that shot, or what you're supposed to do in the movie in general. Hopefully.
Attention TMs!
TMs? Troublemakers. That's what he calls us.
How do you know?
I was in detention once before.
Oh. Okay, so next on your list of filmmaking to do is location scouting. Now, you know that quote that says location, location, location. That is absolutely correct. While you're location scouting, wherever you want to location scout, just keep in mind that your location is ultimately gonna define what type of mood you give your audience, what type of feeling they get, just the general message that you convey through your film. Now, to really get a scout of your location, actually listen, see, and just feel the area that you're in. And this will give you the best results, because doing this will help you see if there are any flaws in that location. Maybe the place where you want to set up your camera isn't very photogenic, or maybe there's a lot of sound. Maybe like the loud buzzing.
My goodness! What?
You know, stuff like that could really ruin your shots you want to try to avoid. So that's why it's best that you always location scout before you actually go there and shoot. Alright, now let's take a look at what an awesome, good location scouting looks like.
I don't need anything anymore.
Isn't that just a whole lot better? On to our next item, which is, of course, and now let's move on to our permission asking from people. Now I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, do I really have to ask permission for people to film places and to shoot at places? Okay, so what I like to do when I'm doing this is just politely go up to the owner of the place that you're going to be shooting at and ask if you can shoot a film project in that site. Maybe you could shoot in a place that doesn't have that many people around, so you won't be a real bother to anyone. Another thing that you might want to do is just ask permission from the people in the background. And you might think, people in the background, why would I want to ask permission from them? They're just in the background. But it's actually very important that you do, because some people don't really like to be on camera. Maybe it's just something that bothers them. Alright, so on to our next item on this list, and that is your equipment. Now for me, this is the most exciting part because the equipment is awesome, and obviously it's essential to your filmmaking. Now your equipment can include your cameras, your mics, your light setup, your rigs, your jigs, your bigs, and your sligs. Your equipment can include your cameras, your radios, your mics, your light setup, your rigs, all that kind of good stuff that you would take with you to actually film. Now to transport these items, you would use maybe like a handy toolbox that you would carry stuff in, maybe like a backpack. Now keep in mind that your equipment can vary between expensive and inexpensive. Maybe starting off you wouldn't be as resourceful as a accomplished filmmaker. You wouldn't afford high quality tripods or high quality mics. Here's an example of some do-it-yourself items that I use for my films. For these things, you really have to do it on your own. And there's a lot of tutorials on the internet that show you how to do this. They're really helpful. Right, so now on to your next item on the pre-production to-do list. That is your crew. Now your crew members are going to be the people that help you out, the people that act, the people that set up cameras. Maybe starting off you won't have that big of a crew, maybe just actors, maybe just sound recorders. Now it's very essential that you pick your crew team well. You don't really want to pick people that you're close friends with, because they might just slack off or not really do what you ask them to do. Because if you're going to be a director, it's really your job to direct people and tell them what to do. And maybe if they're your close friends, they might not see you with as much authority. It's really essential that you pick your crew team wisely.
This summer, from the director of the best movie of all time, one man, one decision.
This task requires your utmost focus, and most importantly, no distractions.
One girl.
You suck now.
Alright, so next up on the list is the setup and the equipment that you will take to your shoot. Now this is very important. This is like the most essential piece of the production, because you know, if you forget your equipment at home, then how are you gonna shoot that scene or shoot those scenes that you have planned out? So it's really important that you make a checklist of all the equipment you're gonna need before you actually go out and do your shoot. Now this includes taking your toolbox that you use to carry your equipment. Don't forget your camera is very important. You don't want to go to the shoot and forget your camera. Also, it's very important that you take with you some kind of extension cord, so that way if there's not a power outlet nearby, you can just plug it into somewhere and just drag it somewhere else. Make sure that you take with you an extra pair of SD cards or memory chips, because you don't want to be recording and all of a sudden your memory just runs out and you can't shoot anymore, and you're right in the middle of a scene, and that is not good. Also take an extra battery or two, so that way your power doesn't run out halfway through the shoot. Alright, so next up on your list of filmmaking to do is the transportation. Now this is one essential aspect that you need because you don't really want to wake up on shooting day and realize you don't have a ride to go shoot. And also, if, let's say for example, if you're a director, it's really important that you arrive there on time or on the time you specified.
You knew the rules. You play by my rules.
I will find you. Do you hear me?
Don't draw anything. You see that ledge?
Yes.
Walk towards it. Alright, so next on the list is your sound / audio. This is very important because next to your footage, your sound is the main part that you'll be using to convey your message to an audience. Now to do this, you're gonna need some mics, you're gonna need some boom mics, you're gonna need some radios, wind blocking systems, you're gonna need sound tunnels. Make sure that while you're filming, you can actually listen to your audio. That'll really help you during the shoot, so that way you can make sure that the audio is right where you want it to be and there's no outside noises interrupting your footage.
If you ever want to see your little girly girl again, jump.
Do it now.
I've got you now.
You've been going after the wrong person.
Shut your mouth.
Alright, so there's another important aspect, and that is, of course, your crew. You kind of want to be sort of upbeat with your crew members, so that way you won't get them irritated. There might be some occasions where you yourself might be a little irritated, but you can't really show that to your crew because you, as a director, should be the example of how to act. And this, of course, will result in a much better attitude from your crewmates. Right, to help with this, you might want to shoot some jokes around to get everyone really in a good mood. Or you might want to provide some snacks or drinks to really get everyone at ease. And this will really help while you're shooting. And it's also really important to try to reward your crew. Maybe afterwards you could go grab a pizza or something.
Every hero has their weakness.
This is your point of duty. This is your point of honor.
Alright, so now moving on to your third step in creating your own movie, and that is finally the post-production. To me, this is the best part of the whole sequence because here is where you actually breathe life into your film. You really want to spend maybe an hour on each minute of footage that you want and start slicing through that footage. Alright, so in the post-production there's essential things that you will need, and one of those most important things is editing software, of course. Now these can vary drastically among price ranges, so be prepared for that. Now when you're dealing with your editing software, it's really important that you take the time to actually go in, experiment, and really learn what you're fiddling with, because there's going to be a lot of buttons and there's going to be a lot of dials that you want to switch, and it's really important to know how each one of those works.
And of all things, he is free to lunge and hop and run and finally stop in midair and fade out.
Alright, so next up on your post-production list is the audio. Alright, so here it's really important that your score is really appropriate for your film. You don't want to shoot or plan to shoot a serious film and then have a totally upbeat score, because that'll throw your entire film off. To do this, just kind of experiment also with the sounds that you have. Maybe you want to import some royalty-free music or royalty-free soundtracks off the internet. Maybe just add a couple of layers of filler music or maybe a couple of layers of other sounds. Websites where you can download these types of soundtracks include google.com. There's also websites where you can pay a monthly fee and that'll just let you download. And those are just really awesome ways to nail your score.
I'm here to tell you something. Look, every time I'm with you, I just don't feel the same anymore. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
Look, I'm really sorry, but I just don't think we're gonna work out.
What? What do you mean we're not gonna work out?
It just means we're not gonna work out. I have my own thing to do.
Alright, so finally, after all the grueling weeks and days and hours and minutes and seconds that you spend in front of your computer screen will pay off once you finish your film. But now to do this, to actually finish your film and have other people watch it, you're going to want to export it onto a disc. Many times the same software that you're using will allow you to burn it onto a DVD.
So Matt, come on, tell me about that date.
It was pretty good until she started asking for more food.
What?
Yeah.
We're late.
Lastly, don't forget to put your credits. One last thing, when you're out there and you're asking for critiques from people, it's very important that you actually ask people that are knowledgeable and are really equipped for critiquing your film, because you don't really want to ask people that have little knowledge about this field to tell you how your lighting is or tell you how your cinematography was displayed. Take your critiques with a grain of salt, but don't eat it. Alright, thanks guys for joining me on this adventure. Alright, thanks guys, this is July Caesar again, signing off. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you later.